Welcome to Ladies Who Question. We have kind of a mysterious topic today. If you've ever heard of Nostradamus, now, when I brought that up last week, you said you had heard of Nostradamus?
Yes.
Okay.
I have.
A
But
lot?
No. I have not really studied up on him. I just knew he was somebody from the past who made predictions.
Oh, way past. Yeah.
Yeah, like
1500s.
Okay, 1500s, yeah.
I know about Nostradamus because, you know that show Nova? It's on PBS. No? Okay,
No.
well, anyway,
I've heard of it, don't know it.
They do these fabulous shows and documentaries and just wonderful stuff. And there we saw this documentary. Oh, shoot. I have made a note on it. It's called, The Man Who Saw Tomorrow. That was it. And it was,
okay.
1980.
Whoa.
And I just rediscovered it because I couldn't remember the title when you and I were talking about it, but it was so cool. And I'm going to try to research and find where I can maybe watch it again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe PBS has a website
sure
or
it's
something
out there.
Well, I hope so because it blew us away. And that's why I forget how that came up last week when we were sort of talking, but I said, we got to do this next week because he foresaw things in the future. Nostradamus, born December 14th, 1503, and died July 2nd, 1566. So that's pretty good. 63 years,
for back then.
In
Where
the Middle
was
Ages.
he born?
He was born in Saint-Rémy de Provence,
Oh, France.
which kind of ticks me off because we were there last year. I was there with my friends.
Right.
Could have gone to see his actual home. And
Wow.
we were there, and that would have been a cool sort of side trip, like Nostradamus. I mean, it looks very, very rustic.
I was going to say.
Yeah, but they put windows in it, and stuff.
Right.
But anyway, he was an astrologer, an apothecary. You know what that is, right? What turned into a pharmacist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, made potions.
All right.
you know?
Medicine Manny kind of thing for his day.
Yes. And interestingly, which reminds me, he made this thing called the rose pill because he lived through, I guess, 2 different plagues.
Wow.
Yeah. And during this one plague came up with, he mixed up this thing called the rose pill, and it was supposed to help with the plague. That's all I know about it. I don't know what's in it, but I guess maybe
some natural products.
Well,
obviously.
that's all they had. Yeah.
Rosebuds.
It was the plague. They were probably willing to take, take
anything.
He was a physician, a seer. He could see into the future, and also an author, quite prolific author. What we're going to mostly focus on is this book, the Les Prophéties, 942 quatrains.
Is that pages?
No, quatrain is like it's a 4-line sort of a poem.
Okay.
And translated into English and a lot of other languages. But so you don't get probably the rhythm of what it was in French, but it's 4 lines for each quatrain.
Okay.
And within each quatrain sometimes can be, looking into the future.
Okay.
I just think that word's cool. Quatrain.
I do too.
Hey, quatrain, come here. Or a dog name or a chicken.
It sounds very sophisticated.
It does. I write quatrains. Future events, he predicted them. Some say with quite a bit of accuracy. Some say, well, I guess you could match it up to anything.
You can kind of interpret it.
Open to interpretation.
Yes, open to interpretation.
Yeah. You could project and say, oh, this is for this era or that event or whatever. But some of the things were so spot on and so creepy, and especially during his time, the things that he was sort of predicting, that's how he got the good rep, to be, he's a seer. And the reason he didn't get jailed or burned at the stake or whatever they were doing to people back then, probably something horrible things,
right,
was because he wouldn't dabble in magic. So that kept him safe. So he wasn't like, this is magic. He based it on, unless you think astrology is magic, maybe it is, but this is sort of astrology based. So it's celestial. He's looking at the stars and the movements and also history. So he's basing it on what he knew from history and how history repeats itself and projecting into the future and syncing it up with astrology. Now, I don't know
that makes sense of what they would do back then.
I mean, right?
There's nothing. There's,
What else?
yeah. Not a lot.
Yeah. So he accurately predicted many major world events.
Okay.
Okay, so here, let me refer to my notes now because I'm trying to... Okay, so 1550, and let me get the light over a little closer to me because I got to look at my notes if you don't mind. He wrote an almanac. He wrote actually several almanacs. You know, like they have the Farmer's Almanac now.
Oh, right.
You know,
Yeah.
they sort of talk about trends and say, oh, this is how it's going to be.
weather
Plant your corn now. And
how the moon is probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
don't know if he was the first one to ever write an almanac, but he did write a bunch of them with successful prophecies. So that's how he started getting the good reputation.
Okay, popular.
That's right. That's right. And so people started going, well, this guy's kind of got something going on, you know, and they started paying attention to him. And so he kept writing more of them for each year. You know, he's like,
Wow.
I like the Farmer's Almanac. Have you ever taken a look at one of those?
I have.
It's kind of folksy and fun.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not always right. Sometimes
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it's kind of just fun. Some people thought he was really evil or fake or insane, but others were like, no, he kind of knows. He even predicted his own death. He told somebody,
Oh, wow.
well, he had gout, I guess, and that turned into edema. Is that what it's called? Edema, when you swell up?
Yep.
Yeah. So he was suffering with that for a long time, and then it turned into edema. But he told somebody, I forget, probably a caretaker or somebody or a friend, said, good to see you. You will not see me alive the next day.
Oh, my. He predicted his death the exact day and everything?
Yeah, but the next day somebody came in and he was dead. But I don't know. Maybe he killed himself. I don't, just to keep his reputation golden.
Right. Right.
Remember, I predicted this.
or I think from the pain. Maybe if you're in so much pain and there's really nothing you could do back then.
Well,
I don't know.
They probably, didn't they do bleeding and things like that?
I was thinking poison.
Oh, no, you mean to kill himself?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Like Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
Wasn't that around the Romeo and Juliet time? Shakespeare
I think so.
in 1500, 1600? Yeah, so.
They might have known each other.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Anyway, I thought that was kind of wild because what if he did just say, I'm not going to make it through the night. I won't be here the next day. He has predicted plagues, earthquakes, wars, floods, murders, droughts, and battles. Those were kind of his specialty.
Wow. Murders. Okay.
Yeah. Some were general of his predictions and some were very specific.
Okay.
The rise of Napoleon and Hitler and both world wars. He had quatrains that referred to those. I didn't go too much in the weeds about the exact quatrains, except for maybe one, I think later on in my notes. But the Great Fire of London in 1666, he wasn't alive. No, when did he die? He died in 1566. So 100 years later, he said, there will be a terrible fire in London. And that did happen. I mean, there was a Great Fire of London. Let's see, the atomic bomb drops in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah.
And how did he predict that? Like, what was his dialogue? Because, I mean, did he know there was going to be atomics? Like, that's very modern day chemicals and so forth.
Right. And I don't think he said they will develop the atom bomb.
Right. Right.
It will be very fiery. No, that's why I'm saying I didn't get too much in the weeds to say, which quatrain was this for? But that's all out there. You're interested, or anybody who's listening is interested in this, you can drill down. Okay. I will admit, I did get a lot of my information from Wikipedia, which I normally do not do, but to chase down all this stuff was kind of making me crazy, going from one site to another.
Yeah, and comparing them and so forth.
Yeah, and Wikipedia did have their sources cited, and they were a lot of the sources that I was hunting down, which were making me insane. I finally went, well, they're drawing from the same sources. So FYI, that is where I drew this from. But
no, it all kind of, I understand.
Yeah. 9/11. And I remember that when 9/11 happened, I remember people started talking about Nostradamus again and saying, oh my gosh, there was this in the quatrain. It talked about the dark prince from the east will rise up, and there will be, and it talked about, oh gosh, that is one I should have referred to, because it did talk about the Twin Towers. It referred to Twin Towers.
Wow.
That's one I should have done a deeper dive on.
But still.
Yeah. And that was like, whoa. because I remember in 9/11 I'm going, oh, that's right, that show that we watched,
Right.
that he and I watched.
Oh my gosh.
Also the moon landing. He talked, he didn't say,
Right. We're going to build a rocket.
right? Yeah, James Lovell will be involved. He was in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Challenger disaster also, that some quatrain referred to something like that, and Princess Di's death. I know. Another royal. There were a lot of royal things, the royal references, and also something about Prince Harry too. Whatever,
Those
but I didn't go
events,
into that.
those events were such shocking events too. They were so like, you can't believe them events.
Right.
Like, oh, I can't believe that happened. It wasn't just, oh, we're going to have a flood this year or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It was all very major, world-changing events.
Well, and that's the thing. And that's why some people are saying, well, you could attribute that to this or that or the other thing. But some of the stuff was so weird because he was talking about it within time frames, 25 score or however they calculated time back then. And whoa.
Ooh,
yeah.
Right.
So if you are interested, there are 3 pretty recent books that have been written. One was in 1947 by Henry C. Roberts. It's called The Complete Prophecies of Nostradamus. So that was 1947.
Okay.
Then there was one in 1961, Edgar Leone's Nostradamus and His Prophecies. And then from 1980, that was when the documentary, the one I saw, The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, The Great War. Okay, so, in 2023. So I wanted to do a couple of current references.
Okay.
So I jumped ahead and I went, okay, so in 2023, here was his quatrain, or one of them. For 40 years, the rainbow will not be seen. For 40 years, it will be seen every day. The dry earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen. Because he focused a lot on, he talked about the environment a lot. He talked a lot about, that was the other thing. When Mount St. Helens erupted, there was also that.
Oh, he predicted that too?
Yes,
Oh.
for like the geographics of that. And volcanic eruptions too, stuff like that. That was from skyhistory.com. Civil unrest. He started talking about beginning of civil unrest with social classes, the division of social classes. That was going to start to be a real problem. That was for 2023. Okay. And which is true. I mean, that's kind of been going on, but it did start to become quite exacerbated in recent times. All right, then here's one that did not happen. For 2024, he predicted a war with China, and that did not happen.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't be here.
No, probably not.
Take a pill and go.
Well, but he also said the Great War of 2023, 7 months of a great war, people dead through evil.
In 2023?
2023, 7 months, Great War, people dead through evil.
Could that be Ukraine?
Isn't that when it started?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
It started in 2023.
Yeah. I mean, it's a horrible war, but I don't know if he means like another world war, but I mean, who knows what anything could escalate into.
Right.
Then 2024, what do I have here? Oh, shucks. 2024, social unrest and civil unrest. Social and civil unrest for 2024. And this is from Times of India for 2025 because they apparently follow this quite a bit. Do you have anything? I know you researched this a little. Is there stuff that you have?
Totally different stuff. So
good.
You go first.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Potential asteroid impact for 2025. This is when 2020.
I was hearing about something like that.
Well, there was something in what was that in Texas? Something went through that guy's garage.
Oh.
It showed the impact.
Okay.
Remember that? Boom. They said maybe
it
was a meteor, right, or something. But asteroids are giant, right?
Wouldn't, if an asteroid hit, that we would feel it all?
Wouldn't you think? Which is bigger, a meteor or an asteroid?
I don't know.
I think they always say a meteor is what killed the dinosaurs.
Oh.
Okay, we'd have to look that up.
Yeah.
Okay. We have more questions sometimes as we go through than we have answers. Have you ever noticed that?
I know, but we are ladies who question. So,
but we have so many questions, even as we're digging through information. Like,
right.
Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Also, Global economic collapse was predicted for 2025. And we are in the progress of that occurring, certainly here, emanating with, or beginning with, our country and emanating throughout the
I have that in my
world.
notes too. I have the global economic for 2025.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Good.
Which isn't good.
No, not good, but it does give some credence to, resurgence of ancient plague in England.
Oh.
What? I mean, an ancient plague.
Well, we'll have to figure out when they had their plagues.
Yeah.
And what they were.
Well, okay, there was the plague. You don't watch Downton Abbey, but there was the plague of, what was it, 1913? Or was that the beginning of the war?
Was that the bubonic plague?
Well, bubonic plague, I think, actually was in England because that was started by rats.
Oh.
And rat droppings and rats. Yeah, the bubonic, I think, was related to rats. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
ew,
there was the plague, the plague or whatever it was, or it was gosh, I can't remember. And I watched Downton Abbey like 5,000 times. I should know which. It was like a flu or something, or like because they were actually, when we had lockdown here, they were talking about how that was the last pandemic. Well, they didn't call it a pandemic; they call it a plague back then.
Pandemic's a modern name for plague.
Okay, well,
Isn't
there
it?
we go. That's what I would say.
Okay.
I mean, sounds. It's just a different. Yeah,
plague sounds like year.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, like you're gonna die.
Yeah, well, pandemic wasn't good either. But,
no, I know.
But you're right. I mean, plague has a much more pejorative tone. You've got the plague,
right? It's like, and then you have to be quarantined off. You couldn't even see a person for days and years, practically.
Oh, probably years, and then your limbs would fall off, and who knows? Ooh, okay. Okay. Predicted for, this is from Times of India, as I said, end of war in Ukraine.
Oh,
well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Doesn't seem like anybody's willing to give up anything or leave somebody alone, leave a country alone. Medical advancements, major medical advancements.
Yes, I have that. Maybe
cool.
Cure cancer.
Well, wouldn't that be great? But did you have any depth on that? Do you have any more than that? Because I don't have, it's all I have.
I just have,
like, was it, saying in what area of medicine? No. Okay, well, that's all right.
Actually, that is not on my list.
Okay. Well, anything would be good.
Interesting that you say that, because did you see, I think it was on 60 Minutes, or it was a podcast where there's a man that is taking T cells, and he's invented the cure for cancer, pretty much.
Well, that sounds like a 60 Minutes piece.
And their T cells, it was fascinating.
Oh gosh, we've got to remember,
because it was just last week, and I'm like, oh God, we're getting close.
Oh, I didn't get to see all of. I have it still in my saved videos, so maybe it was.
Minutes, I'm not sure. But
well, T cells, that makes sense.
Something about implanting T cells in your own body, and he's already tested a lot of people.
Wow!
And so it just has to keep going and keep going. Now, does pharma want us to have a cure for cancer? I always wondered about that. That's a whole nother debate, because we all know how much cancer medicine is and how much money they make off of it.
I know.
Now, if you take this shot or vaccination, you could potentially, this is in the future, it would be a vaccination for cancer.
Okay, is that what it is? It's a shot or a vaccination, or is that how he was developing it? Do you remember?
Well, he was putting T cells into his own system.
Oh, so he was probably injecting himself.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, I hope that's allowed with the new regime here. I mean...
Hey, if somebody says they have a cure for cancer, let's jump on it.
I mean,
let's get it tested. Let's roll. Yeah.
How can you look away from that?
I know.
Okay. And natural disasters are also predicted for 2025. And specifically, earthquake, volcanic eruption, and flood. Well, we've already had...
the climate changed so significantly, and that's the number one thing I have.
Well, and that was a lot of what he predicted.
So the first one I have, significant climate changes. Nostradamus is said to have predicted major climate upheavals, raising water. Hello. It seems like we've had such... this is for 2025.
You and I were just talking about that last week, remember?
So this is 2025 predictions.
Yeah.
So again, it seems like every year whatever the disasters fall into what season, they're worse and worse and worse and more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of water, confused seasons, rising water. So it could be a storm that hits and that's another thing. It hits when it's off season. And we're like, oh my God, why is it I can't believe it's snowing in Florida and, whatever.
Oh, that was weird. Yeah.
That was just strange. So that was more of a climate issue, not off season, but still it was just not.
I mean, that's just weird no matter what.
Yeah, totally. So predictions about climate change have often been linked to current global issues. For example, the rising waters could be interpreted as a reference to increasing sea levels.
Well, that's the same thing.
Yeah, that's the same thing. So, okay, so that's one thing.
I mean, the sea levels are rising because the icebergs are melting because it's warm up top.
Right. They are. And
Yeah.
in fact, where did I have? I had the states written down are the country. Wait.
I think it's amazing
In our country
that he even thought about climate change. I find that.
Yeah.
Now that's being a seer.
How did he know about pollution? Because the carbon, they say, is one of the number one worst things for climate change. So he must have imagined, I don't know, population and whatever they were going to do to this earth.
Yeah. I mean, they did not have great sanitary conditions back then. I mean, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
But how
But
could
they
he
didn't
have,
know because
right.
it's always like you know what you know. And like with technology today, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we were perfectly happy in our little lives, not knowing how things were going to change.
I don't know. People have been talking about it for longer than that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, probably 80s.
Yeah.
So in our country, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and Louisiana are all going to be underwater by 21.
Oh, because they're so low.
Which is only 75 years from now.
Oh my gosh. Well, Louisiana, they've been talking about that. And
Well,
Florida,
yeah, it's like below.
Well, it's below sea level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Katrina, that was a big wake-up call.
That was, because they have the graves built above ground in New Orleans.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live there. It'd be too weird.
No, it's a great place for a weekend, though.
I've never been. I know. I have to go.
Party.
I know. Major technological changes.
Yes, right. I did see that, but I didn't make a note on it. Cool.
There's one quote that it ties into all the AI we've been talking about. It's man and machine become one. Well, they have.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So that was from one of his quatrains?
It was. The year 2025 could be a turning point in the field of technology. Nostradamus supposedly mentioned man and machine. I can't imagine him saying machine, but maybe
that's
something to that effect.
Because they didn't really have machines. Well, they had printing presses.
Okay, and they had things to work in the fields that they thought were a machine, maybe
True.
just a trowel or something that you push along.
Well, it's a machine, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Well, it's more of a tool, but whatever.
Some experts interrupt this as emergence of more advanced brain-machine interface technologies. Well, yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Wow.
It's just all turning into one. So that's kind of creepy. Geopolitical conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Nostradamus predictions of 2025 refer to broken alliances and brothers turned enemies. This could mean major reconfiguration of international relations.
Oh, wow.
And there's been a lot of tense international relations lately.
Yeah.
So it just feels like...
Because it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels that way because it is, Holly.
Somebody's going to pull the trigger. Significant medical discoveries, which you already talked about.
Yeah, but I didn't have... Yeah, I mean...
Well, previously incurable diseases, perhaps through advances in gene therapy, regenerative medicine. These could be the discoveries that could cure a lot of diseases.
Oh, wow.
So I hope it happens this year. If we just keep living longer, then... we'll be able to reap some of these benefits, maybe.
As long as we're living better.
Right. We don't want to just hang on and be a body.
No.
Just have a heartbeat. No.
No way. I will end it before that happens.
Well, you did hear that children born today can live to 150.
They won't.
I know. 150 seems crazy.
Yeah, no, there's too much crap in our air and our water.
And our food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like...
So there's a Happy Friday.
Right. And global...
Party.
party on your Skittles. And your
I love those though.
Lucky Charms.
I know. That's okay. But I don't, if they can make them without all the garbage, I'll still like them.
Right. Oh, for sure. We'll like them more.
Yeah.
Global economic changes. Nostradamus quatrains allude to great upheaval of wealth. This could translate into major restructuring of the global economy in 2025. Ooh, that sounds really scary.
That sounds...
I don't like that.
Well, you could look at that either way. Either there will be an uprising because those who are quashed and quelled and underserved and angry will rise up.
Okay.
And it'll be really ugly.
Okay. Yeah.
Or it'll be a continuation of what is happening right now.
Oh,
which is
the big
the oligarchy.
Yeah.
And the 1% of the 1% will continue to repress until...
Right. There's just no middle class. It'll be rich and poor.
And that's been talked about ad nauseum by every single news outlet in the world. So, yeah.
And was that how it was in 1500s, rich and poor? I kind of think it was.
I think it kind of was because they were monarchies. And well, they were autocracies. Like, I mean, that
they were
too.
Either up there wearing crowns, or they were down there being the servants and the slaves.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean,
oh God, we're going full circle.
Well, and that's what gives credibility, I think, to some of Nostradamus's predictions, because he was a student of history. However,
so he studied patterns, and that happened 10 years. Yeah.
10
or whatever. No, when he was in his mind.
Right.
Well, I'm sure they did have writings and scriptures of history.
Well,
yeah. Back to almost,
the tablets.
Yeah, exactly.
Cave paintings.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? A lot of that stuff, I just go, how did they extrapolate this from that? But they do. And he apparently did, because he was correct enough. He was close to, oh gosh, I'm trying my notes. It was Catherine de Medici. And I don't know that whole history either. So I'm not drawn from anything but just recent memory. And she called upon him enough times to get his input on what do you think we should do here, or what do you see? Because he was a seer, to, have him, I guess he was correct enough times. So
because he was like an influencer, and he was an influencer of his time.
He was a Middle Ages influencer.
Right, exactly. That would be cute.
Wonder what he would think about TikTok now, or YouTube.
Wow.
I would be all over that. That.
The only other thing, so those are the main things I had. And then he goes on to predict particular countries, which I don't even know how he did that.
Oh, well,
I don't have our country. I just have Australia.
Well, Australia, how would he even know about Australia?
I don't know.
Although in London or in England, they were shipping people off to Australia.
Okay. So Europe to Australia.
Yeah. And so somebody knew about it back then.
Okay.
Because that's where they sent people. That's where England
and
Australia. They were sending like their criminals. That was their penal colony. Oh, you're going to Australia. And now, frankly, it's probably, in my mind, one of the most desirable places in the world I've ever visited.
Oh, I've never been.
Oh, you got to go. You love it.
I definitely have to go.
Anyway.
So he predicts environmental changes, raging fires, and dry lands. Well, they've had those.
Right.
Technological innovations, sun-harnessed power. Well, yeah.
Wait, that's kind of ahead of his time.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, he didn't have, panels or anything worked up, but he knew you could harness the sun. That's forward thinking.
That is. He's a seer.
Yeah.
Cultural renaissance, a revival of indigenous cultures and arts. Well, they do have, what's the name of those bush people in Australia?
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
they're Aboriginals.
Aboriginals,
right?
That's
this
right.
This could manifest in increased recognition and integration of Aboriginal knowledge and traditions into mainstream Australia.
Well, that hasn't really happened.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some Aboriginals who have crossed in, but
not really.
I'll tell you, I was there in 2006. That was when I was there. And there was very much a separation.
Did they
of the
live like
Aboriginals.
out in the wild?
Oh yeah, they live in the outback.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lived in the outback because we went through there, and
Oh, wow.
honestly, it was one of the saddest. It was the saddest part of the whole trip because it kind of reminded me of how shabbily we treated the Native Americans,
Okay.
Our indigenous people,
Right.
and
right.
that's how it felt
Oh.
there.
And they're
Like,
still being treated that way.
I don't know.
It sounds like it.
I know that when we went through that area, and we stayed there for a while, and I purposely bought. Stuff, with money I didn't really have. I'm buying all this stuff up because I just felt like, oh my gosh, these
If
people.
you can help them out.
Yeah, anything I can do to put a few shekels, into their pocket. I just, I'm thinking about that now, and it's quite, anyway. So he said that they would be incorporated into the mainstream. So in other words, he kind
integrated in. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I guess that one is one of the things he wasn't completely right on. Unless it's, that was 2006, okay?
25, yeah. So 20 years later, maybe there's a big effort and
I hope so.
Some policies in place to help educate and give them a foundation to integrate.
I hope so.
I do too.
I hope so. Because some of them probably want to stay away from the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they just kind of like, well, here's our land. And it's our sacred land.
Okay.
There's a lot of parallels to be drawn between the U.S. situation and Australian. I don't know how we got off on that, but
well, it's just an interesting topic.
It is an interesting topic,
Yeah.
and the fact that he could somehow project into the future on that. But I think they were shipping them off. Do you remember that? I'm sure.
Well, I know. Didn't the UK have some kind of influence over Australia? Don't they have like a colony there? Or
they do. They
Prince
still
Charles
do.
Go down there and he's part of the people kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because they were shipping off the criminals.
Okay, so were the criminals
and the
first
poor people
to go there?
I think so. I think they were putting them on boats and sending them there.
Okay, so did England discover
sick.
Australia?
They must have, because they're the ones who have had control, and they still have an influence over Australia.
Right, they do. Okay, so this is my take on their accent. Don't you think, Australians and English people, Brits, their accents are very different.
Yeah.
Maybe because they were bad guys going to Australia, they had that kind of slang accent, which they have today.
They had more of a Cockney, like, have you ever heard a Cockney accent? That's kind of how Australians talk. It's not quite the same, but there's a lot of the same intonations in there.
It's hard to understand Australians.
The ones who, yeah,
I'm like,
some of
whoa.
them, yeah, and they do incorporate a lot of their own slang into there. And you're wait, what does that mean? You know, I remember because I was at a bar watching it was on TV. It was a sports bar, and they were watching rugby.
Okay.
And so all like the guys who had been playing rugby that afternoon were in there watching, how they do it here.
Sure. Yeah.
We were playing a baseball game. We went to the sports bar to watch a baseball game, right?
Right.
And that's how it was with rugby there. Talking to some of them, and I'm like, I want to know what you're saying, but I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, it was too hard to understand.
Well, because their accents were so pronounced. You could say that about a lot of people, and I wasn't used to it, but it was kind of musical.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not as musical as French, but musical. Anyway,
sorry.
we got off.
Okay.
That was a tangent, right?
We strayed.
Woo!
And the last one regarding Australia is economic growth, the emergence of new wealth from Earth. Well, I think they do have a lot of natural resources.
Yeah, they do a lot of wine. I don't know what they sheep. I mean,
well, I know they have.
Sheep.
I know that. Well, I don't watch the show. I watched the show begrudgingly. Gold Rush.
What's that?
It's a show where they go out in modern day today and they look for areas to dig for gold, like very more high tech. I mean, with the machines, not what you picture with the pans and so forth.
And you watched begrudgingly. Why?
Well, because it's Tom's favorite show and I can't stand it.
And so he wants you to watch it with him?
No, like we share. Like I'll watch my show, then he'll watch his show.
Okay.
So we
that's
take
fair.
turns.
That's fair.
Uh-huh.
And you're like going, I hate this.
I hate this. And so
what's your show that you make him watch?
Oh, probably Housewives.
Oh,
or the
well,
vat.
that's got to be just as painful for him.
It is. I love it. Well, when he makes it sound like it's the craziest show on earth, and I go, no, your show's the craziest show on earth. So we tie at that.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of minerals
Oh, well.
in Australia.
Okay.
Because they filmed a lot of these shows in Australia.
Yeah.
And they're in the outback, or they're so far in, and it's hot and it's awful.
Oh.
But so maybe they're going to find some mineral or something that's going to surface.
Okay, because that was in his...
That was in his prediction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of wraps up Nostradamus.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah, that was a lot.
I know. Well, I did have some. Well, I was kind of trailing into.
I'm not saying from you. I'm just saying from both of us.
I know.
That was
Well, you had a
Nostradamus
lot.
plus. I had
It
probably
was.
too much.
I just had, because what we were kind of talking about was earthquakes, or we were just talking about natural disasters, how they're so often, and then that led to Nostradamus to I was looking up how many earthquakes did we have in one day.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this 360, because I know that we talked about it off mic, and then we said, oh, Nostradamus, let's do that.
Yeah.
And so I just
Well,
dug in.
Actually, we don't have more than normal amount of earthquakes, but we haven't. They are predicting a big quake, which is a 9 in California.
Wow.
And that would devastate. They showed on some website I looked up, like if California had a 9, it definitely would crack. There would be like an island that branches off.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember in the 70s, they kept talking about
California
was going to break in half.
Yeah,
But it could.
it could.
I mean,
they
those
showed it would be
faults.
more Southern California, kind of edges out, and then the rest is still there. I don't know. God, could you imagine if there's an earthquake and you're the part that goes floating out to sea, and then there's a tsunami? Oh. Anyway,
Wow.
so just on a couple days ago, Wednesday, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 earthquakes.
Where?
In the United States.
In the United States? All in California or the
No,
Pacific
actually,
Northwest?
these are all earthquakes over 2.5.
Oh.
So in California, there's like 40 to 50 earthquakes a day.
What?
Yeah, they're small.
Like 2.5 tumblers or what? Okay.
They're all under 2.5.
Oh,
But
I
there's
just
at
randomly
least-
came up with that.
Yeah, around that.
Okay.
Yes, they
And
are.
that's nothing. You don't even really feel
Right,
those.
but they keep track.
Yeah, the
and-
seismograph.
Exactly. So I was like, oh my gosh. So recently there's a little concern about, there was a big one in Turkey also.
Recently?
On Tuesday, 6.2. And
That's
it was
big.
50 miles west of Istanbul.
That's
I'm surprised you didn't see it. It was all over the news. Then in Alaska, there was a big earthquake, and they're really worried about Alaska, it seems like, with a volcano and an earthquake. And
maybe they're the one. They're next.
well, they're handing out those big gas masks.
Oh, because
if
when
the
it blows.
earthquake if the volcano goes, it's going to be, all that ash, and they think it could be really bad. And it's not terribly far from Anchorage.
Well, it's sulfur. It's sulfur gas.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I
Yeah.
think that's terribly toxic.
You can't just go breathe it in.
Oh,
while
God,
you're
all the
running.
dust. Oh.
So they're kind of preparing a little bit for that.
wow.
Yeah.
To
Well, they're
start-
monitoring this volcano, and they could tell what's
Yeah.
happening.
It's starting to go like your stomach.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's starting to gurgle. And there was an earthquake in like Missouri.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Okay.
The New Madrid. Isn't that where the New Madrid
Yeah.
fault line goes? Because the New Madrid fault line also is in southern Illinois or central Illinois. New Madrid.
Oh, okay. There was one in Wyoming.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone is a ticking time bomb, but probably not for a long time. But there's a lot going on there. Have you been?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had to go see the mud pots. And, of course, Old Faithful,
Oh, yeah.
which I guess is not as faithful as it used to be, which is interesting.
Oh, it's not every...
No, I read that. I remember reading that last year, and I thought, that's interesting, because it used to be like, boom, 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 you knew.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it was called Old Faithful.
Yeah, every 22 minutes or something like that.
It would blow
You'd wait
right on time,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah.
So
It's weird, too, because nature, it's so consistent like that. Like, it's going to rain every day at 6 o'clock. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And there was one in New Mexico. So,
Oh, New Mexico.
yeah. One in Santa Rosa, one in Los Angeles. These are all over 2.5.
New
New
Mexico. That's the only one that stands out to me as
Yeah.
odd.
It sounds odd.
Santa Rosa doesn't. That sounds.
No, that's normal.
Yeah.
Anyways, the disaster thing is crazy. And I also did, in the last 30 days, Anchorage had a 4.5 on Tuesday. And Turkey's was a 6.0. And Texas had 2 earthquakes on Sunday.
Texas?
But they're man-made. You know why?
Oh, I bet it's because of not that the drilling thing they do.
Associated with gas and oil production.
Yeah.
So they're kind of man-making their own earthquakes down there.
I've read about that.
Yeah. So anyways, that kind of wraps up our predictions, our concerns about where weather is going and so forth.
And if you're interested in anything deeper on that, rewind. And I cited the 3 books and then the documentary, The Man Who Saw Tomorrow.
I love that.
I want to see. I gotta
find that.
That would be fun.
Sure
if I can find that, we can watch it together.
Okay.
And have our minds
And just be
blown
like,
together.
Okay.
So do you have anything nice to end with?
I have a couple cute stories. I think I'm gonna lead with the animal story because Lisa's such an animal.
Okay, or we could end with it because
end with it. I meant end, not lead. Yeah, we've been yapping for a while.
Yeah.
Wild chimpanzees like to socialize with alcoholic fruit. Did you see that? I saw the video and everything. It's from Only Good News, which I love Only Good News. I found actually another
because it's only good news.
It's only good news. So typically chimpanzees, they do not share their food at all. They're not big sharers.
It's like what's mine is mine and
exactly.
It's not yours. Okay.
However, there's this fruit that they have, and this is in England. Wait, no. Wild chimpanzees in West Africa have been observed sharing fruit containing alcohol. Not quantities to get you rip-roaring drunk, but probably sufficient to a mellow buzz. So they found this fruit, and they open it up, and they all gather around. It's kind of like happy hour for the chimps.
Look at that.
And they all share it, and they get a little buzz out of it.
It's like their Friday happy hour.
Exactly.
Oh, and that's cute.
And it's pretty funny. So,
what's the fruit?
A fermented fruit. Oh, it's a breadfruit. It's a breadfruit.
Breadfruit.
That's what it's called. It's in Gyana. Gyana.
Gyana, yeah.
It's in Gyana. And it's their national park there where you observe animals. But it's a breadfruit. I've heard of breadfruit before, but I've never had it, and I know it's not grown here, so... wouldn't that be, we can't indulge?
I know. So what a shame. We can't...
Well, that would be a healthy...
Good. What a good T-shirt. A picture of them sitting around like that, their little campfire with their breadfruit getting wasted, and a T-shirt, party like the chimps, breadfruit.
That would be so cute.
Well, it'd be kind of cute, but...
Well, plus it would be healthy because you're eating fruit.
See, now that's how it could be justified.
Natural sugars.
I'm getting my vitamin whatever... My vitamin alcohol, my vitamin A.
Yes, exactly.
And it's fruit. So, Mom, this can't be bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Getting my daily portion. That's so cute.
That's just kind of a fun story.
You should see if you can pull that picture off and send it to Claire.
I will.
We can get it posted.
I'm going to.
And show a picture of the chimps sitting around. It'll be put it on our Insta. That's too cute.
Yeah. Okay,
chimps
so
and their fruit.
TGIF, let's go have a drink.
Yeah.
No.
Let's go find some breadfruit.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for listening. We hope we didn't drive you nuts today.
Okay.
We were really kind of kooky, huh?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
Is it the full moon?
Well, I was going to say something to that effect. I don't know. I'm just feeling weird. I can't say why. I mean, I don't, it's not like I feel sick. There's some things a little...
Ask your daughter. She'll know if something's in retrograde or coming back. She'll know.
She'll know.
She knew that one time, and I went, oh, you're so right. She hit spot on. So find out and get back to me.
I will.
All right. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Harvey. Ladies Who Question is executive produced and edited by me, Lisa Dominique, and also executive produced by Holli Caulfield. Holli also does most of our research, and Claire Caulfield is in charge of technical assistance and social media. Music, My Lionheart. Sketch music by Florian Manx and Matthew Anderson. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, follow, rate, and review Ladies Who Question on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Send your thoughts to ladieswhoquestion@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and our website, ladieswhoquestion.com.
All content discussed on Ladies Who Question are the opinions of Lisa Dominique and Holly Caulfield and should not be construed as advice of any kind. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as advice of any personal or medical issue for yourself or others. This disclaimer also applies to guests or contributors to the podcast.